male to female, a female to male, changing their genders, cutting off different body parts, going through different procedures to acquire this look, this feel, whatever they doing it for is their reason. And I don't hate nobody for doing what they want to do with their own body. I just want to bring light to the people that regret doing this to their body. I feel like it's something that's really not being talked about. And yeah, like I said, I want to bring light to the situation. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe while I'm telling you to, just to send you a little reminder. And yeah, let's keep it pushing. Let's get right into the video.
It's kind of my emotional support, iguana. Hi everyone, my name is Shave. I am a man. I thought I was a woman. For 10 years, I started transitioning in my early 20s. Um, Initially, I was just gender bending man. I would wear gender non-conforming clothes when I went to college. I grew up in Eastern Europe, but when I went to college in America, I was finally able to wear things that I wanted to wear, which is express myself more feminine. But shortly after going to college, people started asking me my pronouns. Uh, and I thought it was weird. I knew I was a man, I was a gay man. And as I started doing research, I started questioning my gender and thinking that I was a woman trapped in a man's body. So quickly, I have OCD, so quickly I got obsessed with transition. Went to Fenway House in Boston, was able to get on hormones rather quickly. Hormones messed me up actually. I became more depressed, more sad, more suicidal. But I attributed it to being still in the wrong body, that I needed to like complete my transition. So I ended up getting facial feminization surgery, which is, looking back at it, it sounds sexist. Like, what is facial feminization? Women come in different shapes and colors and sizes. And
But
shortly after that, I got approved for sex reassignment surgery. And I was only approved in 12 visits.
Is it easy to get these surgeries
Uh,
scheduled?
it was relatively easy for me. There was absolutely no pushback by therapists. They completely like ignored or mental comorbidities I had. I'm definitely on a spectrum. I have ADHD. I have severe childhood trauma. So I have internalized homophobia. They completely didn't even push back at all. They affirmed me, and gave me letters for the surgeries. I was excited. I
Why
thought
do you think that is? Do you think the doctors just want to make money, or do you think there's a fear of saying, "Oh no,
I think
we
there's a
have to
couple.
respect everyone's
I think there's a
decisions"?
yeah. Sorry. I think there's a couple of things at play. One thing, radical trans activists have been pushing for affirmation only model, and Fenway Health in Boston was one of the hospitals kind of to pioneer that affirmation only model. So any pushback often considered transphobic. In countries like Canada, if you try to give people a little bit of a pushback and ask them like, why do you think you're a woman? What do you think? How do you think woman feels? Because a lot of people are like, I feel like a woman. Nobody asked me ever those questions. Nobody said maybe you have internalized homophobia, because I grew up in a very homophobic family where I was brainwashed from early on that gay is bad and sinful.
But
And
what country did you grow up in?
I rather not reveal it because a lot of my family that's still in that country don't know that I'm gay, and my parents still live there. So, but I grew up in a Muslim family, and I was always told that attraction to men as a man is bad. So the minute I realized that I could become a woman possibly, I just latched onto that idea. Like, I really wanted to be a woman because I wanted to escape my homosexuality, because I was so brainwashed by my parents and society that I am not supposed to be attracted to men as a man. So the minute I came across that there was a way to possibly change my sex, I latched onto that idea, immediately. And therapists never tried to help me tackle my childhood trauma. My parents have been verbally abusive to me as a kid. My mom was very disappointed that I wasn't masculine like other boys and I was short. So she always compared me to other masculine boys that I had in my class, you know. And I could just tell that she wasn't like proud of me just because of the way I am. And she kept on trying to butch me up, you know, tried to give me to karate classes. She even like gave me to classes where I had to do like stretching, try to grow taller. So,
What the hell? But
and I got a lot of abuse at school as
he
well.
pretty
People just
tall
kept on
though.
calling me.
I don't know what to call it, him or he or she, but I think he. I don't know. I'm short. I'm 5'2". I think he's pretty tall. Let me know what y'all think. I feel like he's. I don't know if it's the boot. I don't know. I feel like he's pretty tall. I don't know what his mama was trying to. Well, how, I don't know. Let's finish watching the video.
Sissy, you know, all the regular things effeminate gay men, gay boys goes through. So that kind of early on sent a message to me that I must not be a real man because of the way I am. And it's kind of hard for me to talk about right now. So I was trying to escape my homosexuality and my my maleness, I guess, because I felt like I couldn't measure up to other men. Because there is this rigid stereotypes of a man in society that you have to be tall, masculine, act certain way. And I just felt like I could never measure up to that. So the closest point of reference were women. I felt safer around them. I felt like they wouldn't be bullying me, they wouldn't be attacking me, because most of bullying and attacking came from other men. And that made me feel like I had more kinship with women. So that was another factor that kind of pushed me into it. But back to why it's affirmation only and why people are getting fast tracked to a transition pipeline. It's number one, as I said, um, therapists are just afraid to practice anything other than affirmation because then they're labeled as transphobic. In Canada, it's considered conversion therapy if you try to push back a little bit. Also, there is a lot of money to be made from insurances through this hormone therapy, affirmation surgeries. For example, when I was cleared for the surgery, I know this sounds ridiculous, but nobody even sat me down and told me that you're gonna have to take hormones for the rest of your life. I was stupid. I was young. A lot of trans women and trans communities think that estrogen is just for looks. But there's so much more to it, you know. It definitely changes the way you feel, the way you think. If you're a man getting castrated with estrogen, and in my case I was a gay man, it actually contributed more to my depression. So yeah, and there is now a lot of money to be made from those affirmation surgeries because in Massachusetts, for example, pretty much all the surgeries are covered at this point. I believe it's the same in California. And people are getting the surgeries and hormones younger and younger. And I transitioned to live stealth because I wanted to just blend in, get away from everyone, and just be left alone because I just feel disappointed in general by society. That was my goal with transition. But as I saw that so many people were transitioning younger and younger, getting surgeries younger and younger, and also what was happening with the whole like Leah Thomas situation, trans people competing in women's sport and winning them. I just felt like I had to say something because actually after I had a surgery, I spiraled into severe depression. Um, and trans community was gaslighting me and telling me that it was a post-op depression, that it's normal, and I have to kind of like put new goals ahead of me because transition was my goal and now it's kind of not there anymore. Like I've been transitioned. But depression never went away. And actually, I started having complications right after I had the surgery, no matter how much I dilated. And for those of you who don't know what dilation is when you get neo vagina, you stick like firm objects inside of yourself to keep things open. But what they don't really explain to people is that your body treats.
Wow. I was not expecting that. That's what. This is why I want to bring awareness to this type of stuff because they pushing this information out like it's so healing and it's gonna make you feel better. But once you get into that rabbit hole, it's gonna be hard to get out. Your temple, your body is the only thing you really have on earth. You better cherish it.
As a wound, and as horrible as it sounds, that's just reality.
So you have had breast augmentation.
And sex reassignment surgery.
And you had your penis and testicles removed?
Yeah, I had my penis and testicles removed. I had penile inversion surgery. That's when they slice up your Johnson and shove it up inside of you, try to create a tunnel. But the point is, it doesn't have the same qualities as natural cis, I don't like using that word, but natural vagina would have. So you kind of have, your body's natural instinct is to heal it. So you always have to dilate. And one thing that I realized later on, that all the surgeons have a different dilation schedule, which is like a big red flag. How come the surgeries have been done for years, but there is still, like, every surgeon has their own dilation schedule, which is like, why is this not more scientific by now, more universal? But all this started coming to me later, as I started going more down,
So now you regret doing these things?
Yeah, I regret basically just taking estrogen because it made me confused about my biological reality, because before taking estrogen, when I just socially transitioned, which was I was just cross-dressing.
But it wasn't just the estrogen, you had breasts.
Yeah, but I got breasts after estrogen. Like, I was on estrogen for a year.
Right, but you also chopped off your...
I did, yeah. Unfortunately, I regret it. I missed my Johnson, one of the biggest mistakes of my life. But I think not even just the surgery, I just regret ever identifying as a woman, because I believe transgender movement is actually regressive. It's so ridiculous to say that, oh, you're a woman just because you have long hair and you have boobies, It's like men, I date bigger guys, over 200 pounds. A lot of them have breasts bigger than mine. So it's like, it's very aggressive and kind of sexist to say that, oh, now I'm a woman because I'm wearing a skirt and have longer hair. Looking back at it, it sounds ridiculous. So yeah, I just regret to even being part of this movement. That's why, for years anyways, I struggled. I kept on having more revisions, trying to fix, because I wanted to be able to connect with another person again and have sex the way I imagined it was supposed to be in my head, because I was so homophobic. I wanted straight sex. So I ended up having more revisions. I ended up getting colon vaginoplasty, where they cut out like a piece of your colon and try to create like more of a tunnel in you. But that failed as well, and actually upon revision from that surgery, I ended up with a colorectal fistula, which was completely scary. Thankfully, I didn't have to wear a colostomy bag. After that, I got very, very depressed. I wanted to, check out of this reality, because I just felt like my life was over.
Wow. This is why I want to bring light to this type of situation. Like, that is such a touchy thing. Like, wow. You can't do anything else. Like, what else could you do? Like, you can't go backwards. Like, all you could do is just enjoy the rest of the life that you do have. It's a really touchy subject. And, like, yeah, I'm just going to continue the video.
But then I no longer trusted any therapist, because obviously this was actually the first time I ever gotten any kind of mental health help, was when I came to US and went to gender clinic. And that's when, I got prescribed hormones. After that, I kind of didn't trust therapists anymore, so I turned to psychedelics. I did ayahuasca, I did all that, trying to kind of find meaning in my life, which helped for a while. Depression kept on creeping in. And that's when I started slowly like realizing that, wait a minute, this transition, this whole thing didn't bring me like the trans joy people talk about. It didn't bring me the gender euphoria people talked about.
Wow.
I still, if anything, it magnified my gender dysphoria, because when I was just wearing whatever like gender bending clothes, like I was confident in my manhood. Yes, I was a feminine man, but I could go to a male bathroom. And sometimes men would like take a double take, is that a man, is that a woman? And it kind of actually made me happy to kind of like make people confused a little bit. But after I started transitioning, it just became this OCD, like, am I passing? Can people tell I'm a man? Can people tell I'm a woman? So it just made things worse for me. Like, it didn't solve any of my issues. It made things worse for me. It pulled me away from my family and friends, because it was just easier to cut people out and explain to them the whole transition process. And I'm kind of going through that again with detransition. It's almost easier to just like not talk to people than trying to tell them, hey, by the way, like, I'm a man. Now, like, it's just people are confused. They're like, oh, how are you a man? Like, you look like a woman. But I just want people to know that woman is not a look. It's kind of offensive to women. So
That is so true. It's so true because they got it planted in their head that you like I was saying in the beginning, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta do this to be a woman. And a lot of women don't even know what it, you know what I mean? Like we have to go through a whole process of learning what it is to be a woman, and we are women. So imagine a man thinking that he could figure out how to be a woman. Like that's just like me trying to think about how to be a man. It's like I can never even get that far into the thought process because I have no idea where to go besides the clothes. After you get to the clothes, is what's next. How else could I be a man? Getting a fake vagina.
it's just so weird that like at this point it came to the point in the timeline where if men wear a little bit of makeup or do something that's not stereotypically manly, people just assume you're transitioning or you're non-binary. It's almost like this movement erased androgynous people, it erased gender nonconformity. Trans is literally medicalization of gender nonconformity. And trans activists are always saying that, oh, trans people have been around for years, we won't have trans genocide and all that. It's like, no, what we had for years and centuries were gender nonconforming people, cross-dressers, eunuchs. Trans only, it's a label. I personally don't believe anybody is born trans. Um, I believe some people struggle with body dysmorphia, gender dysphoria. That's another thing. Like psychiatrists never told me that I possibly have body dysmorphia. And as I start getting this feminization surgeries, I guess, like getting breast work done, face work done, I still wasn't feeling sexy. I was still not feeling comfortable in my own body. I still felt ugly. And only recently, when I went to a new therapist last year, I realized like I had body dysmorphia, that I still don't feel comfortable in my own body. That feeling that I confused for being in a wrong body, it was because I had body dysmorphia. I grew up chubby. I grew up feeling ugly, feeling less. And that was really a software issue. And these people just literally sold me a hardware fix. Took my insurance money, took years of my life, took my health. I have osteoporosis now because of not having enough hormones in my body for years. I just got back on testosterone last year and finally got some of my sex drive back because I literally felt dead inside for years. And nobody even told me, hey, even if you're like having the surgery, you need like both hormones in your body because every person needs some estrogen and some testosterone. Just males tend to have, average male has more testosterone. As males get older, testosterone level drops, so they become more emotional, all that. So it's all just kind of like averages and natural biological processes. So my care has been completely mishandled all the way from like therapist up until even now. Right now, I want to have my breasts removed because of my osteoporosis. It's very painful to have this like large
Wow. Wow, this is different.
dollars in recession to have my breast removed, and I don't even know, a lot of the transitioners are struggling getting insurance coverage for reversal surgeries. And to be honest, I want the public to know that in certain cases full detransition is impossible. I've been in the trans community for a while, and I've talked to some detrans men who attempted phalloplasty after vaginoplasty, and it was horrible. Like one man got phalloplasty, which like they had to take skin from somewhere in his body.
And what is that?
It's when they take a skin from your body and try to construct a phallus, a new penis, I guess, or a penis lookalike, because you can never get it back the way it was. So they take it's multiple surgeries. So they take like skins from somewhere on your body. They put like a penile implant. They put like testicular implants. They take tissue, usually from inside of your mouth, try to lengthen your urethra. Trans men who attempt to get bottom surgery goes through something similar. And I know one trans man who had it done, and he said it was the most painful surgery he had, even more painful than vaginoplasty. Wow. So he actually had to go back to the doctor and has the phallus taken apart. I'm not laughing. I'm just like, it's my stress relief, and put the skin back where it came from. So it's very horrific surgeries. Wow. Just things that surgeries have been done for decades, so they must be safe. But the truth of the matter is there is really no studies showing that specifically sex reassignment surgery improves anybody's mental health. In fact, there's a Swedish study showing that within 10 years after sex reassignment surgery, people become more suicidal and cancel themselves. But that's all those studies that contradict the mainstream narrative of happy transitioners are just kind of being labeled as transphobic and pushed away. In terms of hormones, there is no studies comparing it to placebo to even get an idea, is it any better than placebo? Usually when you do drug studies, you do compare it to a placebo, but somehow there is like no studies comparing it to estrogen. In terms of testosterone, testosterone has amazing antidepressive properties. So when I went on testosterone last year, I definitely got my mental health improved a little bit, but it's also traumatic getting your sex drive back and not having functional genitals, Before transition, when I took estrogen, before taking estrogen, I was comfortable with my penis, but within a year after taking estrogen, I started hating my penis. I got convinced that it was just like, it needs to go, it doesn't belong on my body. Every time somebody saw it and looked at it, I was getting very dysphoric, very kind of annoyed. So I literally went from being okay with my genitals to hating it and wanting it off my body after a year of estrogen. And I never thought like I would want to, top someone. But now with testosterone, certain desires are coming back and it's kind of traumatic. And I don't know what to do because it's almost like it brings more attention to my genitals. And in a way, it also makes me sad. So I don't know, eventually I may be forced into like hormonal retransition, whatever that means, simply because it's just so traumatic
So,
to
but
be on
you still seem to be trying to be a woman? Because with your
No,
makeup and
I'm not.
lipstick and hair?
I do get mistaken a lot for a woman, and the way I look at it, I don't do pronouns. So if you see me as a woman, she, her, to me, going ahead and correcting someone, being like, "Oh, I'm a man, call me he, him," it's just stupid. It's almost the equivalent of non-passable trans women that are walking around where everybody can clearly see it's a man, and they're just militant about using she, her. You just have to be understanding that all of the society not gonna affirm what you think in your mind.
Right.
And it's completely
That's
ridiculous that
true.
in Canada, for example, right now, you can go to jail for misgendering someone. And I know that some people may be purposely misgendering somebody to make fun of them or something, but some people just don't pass. They just
Facts.
will never pass.
Hello, cause some of y'all be look with the beard, and then you want somebody to call you her, she, her. Like, oh my god, that she hit it right on there. I respect this gentleman. Whatever is whatever. I respect the being. I honestly do, cause this is some real information.
No
Like,
matter how many surgeries they do. And to all the trans people watching this, if you're transitioning, just be careful. Like, don't trust surgeons blindly. Do your own research. The informed consent that they give you for surgeries and hormones, be careful. Read it very carefully. The surgeries, yeah, they'll tell you these things can go wrong, but if there's no probabilities next to things going wrong, is this really an informed consent? Yes, a plane could crash right now into this building, but what are chances of that? And there's literally no studies on the complication rates and on satisfaction rate from
well,
vaginoplasty in trans women.
well,
So yeah, just be careful. If you have relatives that are planning to transition, try to get them good therapists. I'm not saying that medical transition can not help anyone, but it should be like a last step because a lot of the things are reversible.
And what's your relationship like with your family?
Um, Honestly, my homophobic family, initially they were against transition, but they took more of a religious spin on it. They were like, oh, it's against Allah, and like you're gonna go to hell, blah blah blah. But then when I transitioned and my relationships with men started appearing more heteronormative to them, they became more accepting. And
What was your childhood like?
it was pretty traumatic. I definitely had a lot of bullying both at school and from my parents because, as I said, they just didn't like the fact that I was naturally feminine. And natural femininity is something that's been around for centuries
Well, it seems like
among.
there's many different. There are men who are gay. There are
Yes,
men who are effeminate. There are men who are gay.
yes,
There are cross dressers. There are people that are that are trans.
Right.
transgender, but they still have penises. Then there are transgender who have
Transsexuals, I guess.
transsexual or whatever. So
And I think that's a problem because a few years ago, like a decade ago, there was more of distinction. But now a lot of people are falling under that umbrella, just automatically. And trans community is pushing for even the ideas that you don't need to have gender dysphoria to be trans, which is crazy because original trans activists fought for this to be classified as mental disorder. So it could be classified as medical condition and could be treated by treatments that are covered by insurance. So saying that this is not a mental disorder is completely crazy. If somehow something inside of you, whether it's innate, whether it's induced by society or traumatic childhood, wants you to emulate stereotype, and stereotype being a keyword of an opposite sex, it's 100% is a mental disorder. And saying otherwise just sounds
Well,
ridiculous. And again, I just feel like a lot of people are gonna get hurt with this affirmation only model. People are not given proper mental health help. There is detrans women in my community that are missing their breasts, and they had double mastectomies when they were underage, pretty much. They haven't even had a chance to grow into their womanhood. I even feel like, even though I was 18 plus, I feel like I didn't get a chance to explore my manhood, and grow into my manhood. Realize that like a lot of my desire to transition was to fit in, because I was
uh,
felt like when I was wearing gender nonconforming clothes, I was getting weird stares. People were treating me like a creep. Um, but once I started passing more, I could wear whatever I want, and people didn't bother me. They didn't give me dirty looks, they didn't make fun of me. But I don't think that in the future, right now, what's happening is the trans kids are literally castrating young gender nonconforming boys. Just because the boy wants to play with a Barbie or wear a skirt and run around at 2, 3, that doesn't mean anything. This kid grow out to be a drag queen. This kid just be going through a phase. It's completely ridiculous that just because boy wants to play with Barbies and wear a skirt and run around at 2 or 3 years old, parents immediately think, oh, they have a trans child on their hands, so they must castrate him with Lupron by the age 11, to make sure the kid doesn't go through puberty. It's completely ridiculous. They're castrating this kid for a look. They want to make sure that his voice doesn't drop. They want to make sure that he can become a woman lookalike, but this kid gonna lose his sexual functionality. The head of WPATH, which is organization that sets standards for transgender care, came up, released an article a few months ago saying that all the M2Fs, which is boys that are saying they're girls and being castrated with puberty blockers, they will never know what orgasm is like because they never had testosterone in their body. When I had no
wow,
testosterone in my body for years, it was so hard to achieve orgasm. It was just, I wasn't even thinking about sex. My sexual desires.
wow, wow. Wow, bro. This is mind blowing to me. It is. It's beyond me. All right, let's get back into it. The video is almost over, and then we're gonna give a little comment on the end, and then I want y'all to leave me a real juicy comment, and let me know how y'all feel about this. And I'm gonna drop more videos, with other people telling their stories because this stuff, not even this stuff, these stories need to be put on a platform, like a platform that has been heard. So yeah, if you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do so. Let's get back into the video.
Completely gone. So how can kids opt out of orgasmability, which is a natural human biological function, when they don't even know what it is? I think it's completely unethical. I don't know what the good solution to this is because a lot of parents are being emotionally blackmailed by trans activists because they're being told that if you don't transition your child, they'll be at high likelihood of canceling themselves, which is complete emotional blackmail. I feel like trans movement took away the diversity we used to have, such as cross-dressers and transvestites, all those. Now it's all just kind of falls under the same umbrella, and it literally erased what drag is, because now we have trans women competing on RuPaul's Drag Race. It erases woman in a way as well, what woman means. It erases homosexuality.
She right because I honestly, as soon as I think about a drag person, I think about a transgender. But Some of those people don't be transgenders, they be just drags. Wow, that is how society, dang. Society is really putting all of these people under the umbrella. This mother is right. No disrespect, Queen, King, however you want to be labeled. No disrespect, but you are telling some truth on this one. Yeah, let's get back to it.
Sexuality. A lot of people, from what I realize in the trans community, have a lot of other mental issues that were not resolved, and they saw transition as a way to kill a version of themselves that was traumatized. But the truth of the matter, your issues are still up here. No matter how much you're modifying your body, your trauma doesn't go away. You still
Right,
have to go within yourself,
right,
whether it's with the help with non-biased good therapists, whether it's psychedelics, whether it's talk therapy. Different things work for different people, but your problems are not going to go away just because you transition.
right.
And yeah, that's the conclusion I came down to. And but again, I feel very stuck. I don't feel like full detransition is possible for me. So it's for me, detransition is more of a state of mind, just coming to realizations that I've been pretty much lied to, that I'm not a woman, and my blueprint was male, and I destroyed it through surgeries and hormones. Yeah.
What would you say is the most important thing you've learned in all of this journey of yours?
Don't trust big pharma. Do your own
Please.
research. Stop being radical. I think one of the problems in society right now, people are getting radicalized because radical ideas get a lot of attention. So just be able to hear like the other side and see where those people are coming from. And I do believe that truth is somewhere in the middle. And seeing things black and white has gotten humanity in a lot of trouble. And gender exists on a spectrum. Feelings change, but biological reality doesn't change. And being medical patient for life and slave to big pharma is not fun. So, and
All
it just
she's
takes time
saying
to
is
find out who
don't
you
do
really
it.
are. It takes years
Don't
to
do
realize
it.
who you are, to grow
Don't
stronger,
do
and
it.
making permanent life
Don't do
decisions,
it.
permanent body
Don't do it.
modifications.
Do your research. Do your research first. If you're thinking about doing something, I honestly would just tell you give yourself some time because what you're going through right now is not what you're going to be going through in a year or two. You're not going to be feeling the same way. I remember when I used to be having these type of crazy thoughts going through my mind on the internet trying to figure out what I got to do to be gay. And I'm glad they didn't have stuff like this because I would have been so brainwashed into changing my freaking gender. And the hardest thing you could do is change a person's mind. The hardest thing you could do is change a person's mind. Once a child mind is made up, it's hard to change it. Once a person's mind is made up on what they want to do, it's hard to change it unless they go through their own personal experiences. My mom used to always just be like, "Oh, you hard headed, you hard headed." No, people got to go through their own experiences to learn. You could tell a person as much as you want to tell them, but if they gotta necessarily go through it, everything happens for a reason. Let them go through it, cause guess what? It's gonna make them a bigger and better and stronger person in the end. It's gonna make you stronger. It's gonna make you better in the end. But that's all I gotta say about this topic. Y'all stay tuned for the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.
Earlier in your timeline, it's a really, really bad idea.